I hope I'm not going to bore you too much. And actually, I'm an Adobe education leader, and this is my partner in crime at Adobe.
Yeah. We're both Adobe education leaders and teachers as well, right?
I run a program in Arcata, the Arcata Arts Institute, and yours is?
The Digital Arts Technology Academy, Cathedral City High School, Palm Springs Unified. So about 95 degrees. It's nice to be over on this side of the mountain.
And then where I live, you like the mist and the fog is really good to hair and skin. So I'd rather be where I am than where you are.
I gotta say that when it may have been to the Educating for Careers conferences. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know Jeff has mentioned something, and we kind of crossed paths a lot when we were doing our program building a couple years ago. I was at Educating for Careers, and I saw Ann's presentations because they were like the only arts thing in the whole business.
We're still
so
a little corner of
cool.
Educating for Careers.
So we all kind of influence each other, and I'm going to bet that you guys will be doing the same thing.
And, Matt tried to get me to do karaoke once, and it didn't happen, so I bonded up over that.
There's always tonight. There you go.
We'll see about that. So, graphic design is very kind of ubiquitous in all of our programs if you're teaching any kind of marketing or business stuff. But then we also teach it as a discrete subject. And I always have. And it's always been a line of work of mine. I've always been a graphic designer since I was in undergraduate college. I went to Northern Illinois University, California College of Arts for master's work, UC Berkeley to get my master's in education. And I've always kind of gotten extra income by being an independent contractor, so it's a natural thing for me to develop curriculum around it and teach it. Right now, when Chris said, well, we really need a session to talk to people who want to teach graphic design, are teaching graphic design, listen to how you do it. I'm like, sure. And I said, I have to teach it with Matt because he does it so well. I mean, he really does it really well. At this point in time, I've come to think about what I teach in terms of graphic design is, and I call it Design for Communication. That's the name of the course. This is like one of the little blurbs that I put in the course handbook. It's the usual blah, blah, blah about what graphic design is. We study typography and elements and principles of design and composition and study the history and the importance to our culture in graphic design, design history, visual narratives, blah, blah, blah. This is what I really teach. And it's always been that way. I teach media literacy. I teach kids how to decode what they are informed with so that then they can put out in their own voice their own messages for whatever. Whether they're advertising that great set of dancers that we saw this afternoon, or their own showcase, or they're pushing a cause that they feel really vitally impassioned about. They have to have a good sense of literacy in terms of how to make that media. So, and I really believe too, I'm kind of on I'm a little bit groggy in my voice, so let me know if you can't hear me. But I really believe that the best way to teach this is within projects that exist in the community, whether it's the community in our own institute or our greater school community or the town or statewide advocacy or national advocacy. That's the best way and sometimes the only way to really substantively teach graphic design is if you've got a real end product happening. Because we have a course that has been taught the same way forever and ever, and the kids do trifold brochures. Let's learn how to use Microsoft Word and make a trifold brochure about anything. And you know, kids just toss it off, and so they learned how to use a tool that someone else had made for them. And they shove it in their binder and they never look at it again. I want to teach them how to develop their voices. I want to teach them, oh, you told me I had a pointer. Use that? Cool. I'm not going to use it anymore. I just had to try it. But
It's like a Photoshop filter.
I want to teach, this is like a nuisance device on our campus, I know. You know, how can they implement social change on their own terms? They do it with media that they make. And they do it in a powerful, impactful manner. If they graduate from me and they know how to do that, no matter how many classes they've taken or whatever, I'm gold, okay? It's essential to learn how to do graphic design within your own career development. If you're going to be a studio artist and try and pay the rent by selling your paintings, or you know, if you're going to work with a film production company, you need to know how that fits in with your career development. Youth development. How do they just develop themselves as upstanding young individuals that you can feel their feet on the ground and they have the courage of their convictions? Graphic design can do that for them. Media literacy, learning how to decode it. The power of the press belongs to those who own the presses. And it enhances the rest of their academics, especially in the world of Common Core standards. It really, really does. Because they're targeting an audience. They're always targeting an audience, and now they're being told in their history and their English and their science classes that there's always an audience for anything that they're reading. And so it hooks into that really strongly. That, by the way, go back one. Okay, is one of my dancers, and they're doing photo shoots now for our fashion design program, and they go out in the rocky shores of Humboldt and dance. Pretty great. So their voice, I try and get them to develop their voice. You've heard, you know, it's a groovy thing to say right now, to lend students agency. That's really important. Because in everything we do here in this education arena, if we don't listen to the students and empower them to make themselves clear, then what are we doing here? It's our job to help lend them agency. And by bringing them into fundraising for the program, recruiting for the program, advocating for themselves and the type of education they want, building their own community so that they get the most out of what they're doing, then we're helping them implement social change. And it's super important. This is a group of postcards. I've just put several together. We had student photographers do this photo shoot, gather quotes, student graphic design artists. We made postcards. We're sending them out. It's a whole package that we're sending out to parents. First, we used it at our first demo day where we had an Arts Now event on our site, the Alliance for Arts Education. They had one of their 5 Arts Now statewide meetings up in Arcata. So I combined it with a demo day. And the kids did all of the print collateral for it, and the social media and the website stuff. But they had all these on the tables. They wanted to impress on all 120 people that came to the Arts Now Day that they believe that their creative education is important. And they did it with powerful images and these beautiful quotes. And all of these kids have stories behind them that will break your heart or make you even more courageous yourself. None of that is told in detail on the postcards, except through a couple of words and these eyes. This young man, and he's allowing me to say this, I asked his permission, he's transitioning right now. He's angry and he's scared because he has, what do you call it? It's Medi-Cal, that they're a partnership, which will pay at this point for the hormones that he needs in order to shift. And he's afraid that it's going to be pulled out from under him in the middle of his process. And he's angry about that. Aside from all the other societal, cultural shifts that he senses in our culture right now, in this political climate of people thinking that he's odd and shouldn't be doing what he's doing. And his response is to stand up straighter and say, okay, I want some tools. I'm going to speak for all the other people that are too scared here at this school to say something. And so we start here. Art fuels social progress and change. And that direct gaze of his, he wants to put it out. That's the power of graphic design. And then there's a bunch of other groovy stories there, but I'll stop now. This is a poster that we did to help illustrate the Declaration for the Rights of All Students to Equity in Arts Learning, which is something that we just launched from Create California. And there are a bunch of really interesting tools and advocacy links and whatever. It's an organization I'm chair of. And, oh, I pointed again. I said I wouldn't. And we're developing policy and legislation to have all school boards adopt a Declaration for Students' Rights in Arts equity, arts education. And so our students took on the job of producing images that would reinforce that. So they had to read the rights really carefully and really understand them and internalize them and put them in their own language and come up with amazing images like this. So now in their bones, they understand how they deserve these rights too, and are creating images to try and create the public will to get other school districts, school boards, Joe Schmo on the street to adopt the willingness to lend them those rights as well. Career development. Obviously, when we do the arts that involve pushing out pieces to advertise what we're doing, we're helping them look at other people who have careers in the arts and then figure out how they fit into that schema too. We bring artist experts in. We have I mentioned before, a fashion design component. So this is last year's shoot, and we have an expert in the field. I've got 2 alumni who are also working in the field, working with my students, with our cover girl, and we mix it up, and they do everything from square one to the end result to create the poster, the tickets, the program, and everything else. And the whole time they're working with experts in the field. They have industry mentors. We use industry standard tools. I mean, I don't have a camera like that, but I sure as heck can find someone if I want my kids to learn how to use it and bring them into the class, and they can learn from them. And by doing all this, they create this amazing sense of community in their larger community. So we bring people in and get them personally vested in what we do, because they got to work with kids, and it was a boatload of fun. And then they have beautiful end products. So this was just a little something at our Arts Now. I don't think it was anyone in this room, but someone said, wait, your kids that made the Student Voices campaign that we were screened last year in San Francisco for Student Voices, those are the same kids I saw at the Arts Now Day, at your demo day, right? I said, yeah, right. And they did all of that stuff. They took all those pictures and sent it to the Alliance's website. I said, yeah, they did. They believe in what we're doing, and they want to do the next thing. So they're right away, while they're still in high school, seeing themselves as, the go-to graphic designers. It wasn't just something they did for the class, they did for the grade. It now, all of a sudden, it's cause-based and event-based. And I give out more A's than anybody on earth, because I actually don't really believe in grades. It's like, did you come in on time? Is it a quality product? Did you get the results you want? It doesn't equate with me to 6-week grading terms and grades A through Z. which I think is a bunch of BS. That's just me. But we try as much to give our kids situations where they can really become the fourth estate. And the fourth estate is the media that acts as a watchdog on our government organizations and our political organizations. And I think we need those people right now. So let's train them up. We always run our demo days, and then we ran this mashup of being an Arts Now day and a demo day by using student guides. We started out doing demo days. I think our first one we had like 20 people there. Second one we had about 30 people there. This one we had 120 people. There were 2 teams that came from the East Coast to see what we do. We're Arcata, California. Like, we're little tiny. But our students are rocking it. And our students help design our program. And people want to see that. And so then the students get to run the events that show off the program. It gives them a sense of confidence. It gives them a sense of usefulness, which is missing for a lot of other students at my school, which is why I try and rope them in. No, I don't care if kids become artists. Let's just come on down and learn some of this stuff. Great, I'll find a place for you. Be in a situation at school where you have control. Again, academic achievement, enhancement. They'll do better overall in school if they're taking on projects. And again, it goes back to graphic design each time. I'm not getting like too far afield. I'm still kind of there with graphic design. So I have 2 pathway programs. One is a STEAM program for product innovation and design, and then we've got the AME pathway. And there are honestly some days where I can't tell who's supposed to be in what class because they're just going back and forth. And they're especially on days or months when we plan things like this evening. We have a Just Make It night where we bring community members in to go around to different stations and make stuff. They're either making robots, or they're making sock puppets, or they're painting botanical illustrations, or they're coding with Scratch, or they're using the laser harp, or they're making like toothbrush bots that are just like wiggling the heck all over the table. And all the students are teachers, so they learn how to teach this stuff. They make part of the print collateral for this, the graphic design, is they create lesson plans for elementary school teachers to take home, and we call it our Trojan horse, to bring arts into the K-8 schools that have little or no art anymore. And the lesson plans, they look like SRA cards. Have you ever seen like the reading cards? Like I always wanted to get to the purple and the brown because they were way in the back. So they look like SRA cards just simply because of me. My kids have no idea what I'm talking about. But they have standards, Common Core standards, English language arts standards, history standards, science standards, VAPA standards in every single lesson plan. The kids make those cards. They make the posters. They make the signage. It starts with them doing powerful images and takeaways. So they do all of that. That's a great project. So, I teach media literacy within the scope of a whole boatload of stuff. Yeah, I just had one of my photographers. It was 2 young girls. These are sophomores. I have one classroom where I can close the doors and it becomes like a black box. And so they did a whole photo shoot. We brought in black lights. Who has black lights at home? They brought in black lights, like these big tubes, and had the fluorescent paint and all this stuff, and they did this amazing photo shoot. And some of the images are so powerful, it shows up right now. And they curated their own show, and they got their own opening together, and they got the kids to play music at it. And they do the social media. So they create these little Spark post things, you know, so that I can keep posting it up. And every parent thinks we're the best thing since sliced bread because we made these little social media things that drop in that take literally like 3 minutes to make. But the kids know the tools. So I teach graphic design as a way to develop student voice. We have a demo day coming up. You can learn more about our demo day. I think it's tomorrow during the first session. I'll be talking about it with Johanna, who's right next door. And we'll tell you more about the depth and breadth of our program. If you come up, though, on the first day, you'll get tours. You'll learn about program structure. You'll see some behind-the-scenes stuff for Flow, which is our runway show. And then the next day is our runway show, which is a boatload of fun. We laser cut stuff to put on original designs that the kids make, and they take it down the runway, and it's like nothing more popular than this runway show at school because they all want to do fashion and they all want to have fun with it. And it's a lot of fun. I totally guarantee you'll have a great weekend because that same day on the 27th is a kinetic sculpture race, which was the first one in the world. And so it's deeply rooted in Humboldt County. And Del Arte School of Physical Theater also has some master's thesis programs later on that weekend. And you have Monday off to get back home. Now, I'm going to turn this over to Matt, and he's going to show you some amazing stuff that he does at his site.
Yeah, but no one else can lay claim to having student alumni artwork in space.
No, right? That's right, I do.
So, you guys were here last year?
So Forrest Stearns is the creative director for Planet Labs, and they put up the Doves, which are high-resolution camera solar satellites. There's 128 of them in orbit. And Forrest etched the wings they face down below, etched with animals of the solar panels that are on top. And the artwork depicts a diaspora of animals. It's his reminder to the earth to pay attention and to be better guardians of our earth. And it's probably the largest audience
that no one can see the product.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that.
And
so I tell my kids, no limits, man. You could go up to space.
Humboldt's also you got the most artists per capita?
Per capita in the United States, 2 years of census data.
Bunch of hippies.
Yeah, we are. It's where we're 60s meet the sea. I'm proud of it.
Yeah. Me, I come from skateboard punk rock culture.
We love
and I never took any. We used to make zines, like when we were teenagers, and copy and paste the complete opposite of good design, right? So I actually, my background is studio art with an emphasis in photography from Santa Cruz, but so we were kind of, even when I was there, it was like very traditional. And then I was kind of doing mixed media and burning photographs and stuff. So I've kind of been all over the place. Thanks to digital, I've become more chill and sedentary. But if you'd like to follow us on social media, please do. We're also an Apple Distinguished Program through 2017, but that will all disappear thanks to Apple's marketing plan. And we're also a partnership, a Lighthouse Academy. So we have demonstration days too, and I always want to punch Jack. Oops, that's recorded. Because model AME schools, there's a couple other ones too, but we tend not to fall into what this conference is sharing. We're a model partnership academy. So if you're familiar with the CPA programs, we're one of 15 out of the 400 in the state that are here to help you too. So. Our demonstration day is May 12th. We also do one in December if you can't catch us. There's a little reduction from the website here. You can grab that too, or just email us or visit our website here. And a lot of it's student speaking. So a little bit from the adults, free food, and a lot of students talking, and it's here in the Southern California region. The data program, right, the Digital Arts Technology Academy, has 2 pathways. So we're technically a CPA is 3-year, okay, but we have a freshman class that we recruit into. So technically we have those kids for 4 years, and we have 2 fully approved pathways. So instead of thinking about digital video as digital video, it's digital storytelling. And then my side is chaos of photography, graphics, animation, and now we're doing some game design. The classes that are written are, oops, a little shift in text there. The classes are written probably as you traditionally might find it. Contemporary media is actually myself and another teacher from another high school in our district rewrote the old like print-based graphic communications class into more contemporary media. So that allows us to do a lot of fun, cool stuff the way we want it. Just because it's on paper doesn't mean you have to do it that way all the time, right? It's just the official wordage. Oh, I forgot where I was going. We also work with our 8th and 9th graders, our 7th and 8th graders in our local middle school, because we look at that as the farm team that's coming our direction. Oh, that's really messed up there. Okay, they're all UC approved. Skills USA is kids are participating grades 7 through 12. So that's another helpful deal. And we also articulate with our local community college, which will bring me to something else in a couple minutes. So when we were trying to figure out what were we going to talk about versus what's written in to bring you guys into the room, I wanted to kind of follow that a little bit. Space is an important part, and the projector is. So we've got kind of like a little panorama. This is my lab, out of kind of distortion here. But, we 2 full iMac labs, which is great. This is the first time in our 15-year history that we've actually had the basically same computers in both labs. For many years, it was the evolution of the iMac. And it was really great to finally be able to jump up to Creative Cloud and also have everyone in an equitable situation with like software. The video production or digital storytelling lab, we also produce a radio show for the school district out of that room. And they're running video and they're running audio projects. For me, I like chaos. That's probably from my little bit of production time. That being in that chaotic environment, I can't have everybody really doing the same project all the time. I get bored with that. And so what we do is we kind of use Skills USA to kind of launch the year and go, okay, our tagline is focusing your creativity. That's what I'm there to do. I don't want them to all necessarily learn what I want them to learn. I want to know, who you are, why are you here, and where do you want to go? So from that, we can kind of get them to go, all right, well, here's this thing called Skills USA. There's these competitions for leadership and skill-based things. We do about 23 different ones. There's also another CTE teacher. It's not by any means just me doing it all. And so kids in the 9th grade class, even though we've got a plan to teach them Photoshop, if they want to branch off into game design, go for it. And you're going to spend class time learning about game design. And most of them know more than me. I'm pretty much like their art director. And then, like Ann said, I'm smart enough to bring in the people who know something about it. So that's where we really utilize our community partnerships, which is key. So space, obviously, we have some, we've been collecting MacBook Airs for them to check out. So when someone comes in with a design project and we have, a week, 5-hour turnaround, because that's how long they're in class, they're not going to get it done in 5 hours. So they have to check out a laptop. And B&H has been a really good resource for that, because you can buy end-of-the-year models for lower price and sometimes half the cost on the Apple Protection Plan, which is kind of cool. Save some money, right? We've got some iPads that we have on stock, but honestly, they're kind of just being used for presentation tools. We've got a lot more powerful items right there. A range of software, okay? So this is kind of like the digital storytelling side. Obviously, you see the Creative Cloud stuff. Are you guys familiar with XD? Experience design is really cool. We introduced that the beginning of this year. Started off the year doing business cards and then jumping into the same type of format, but more vertical, you know, and understanding about space and text and whatnot. And then some of the 3D tools. Unity is the hot game engine. Kids all want to jump into it. You know, so if you think about in the sense of computer graphics, why not encourage them in high school to start doing game art, start understanding interactivity, and let them do it. You know, it's going to benefit them, right? A lot of peripheral devices. We're lucky to have a lot of good funding. I was really excited. I was jealous because you got like some big ass machine that cuts
we
stuff.
We have 2 now.
Plasma cutter or
We got a really
something.
big CNC, a tabletop, and 2 laser cutters.
Yeah. So we got this.
play with us.
We got this laser engraver, which is like still awesome and still was way out of my wish list for many years. But thankfully, there's these incentive grant monies, right? So it was crazy this year. The Cintiq tablets, which you guys probably played with outside, those are things that are pretty freaking cool too. The kids love those. Not all of them do. Some kids, you know, because you're face down, and some kids still like the old Wacom tablet. It's called the plastic ones, you know, so they can actually still design with their head up, a little bit more better posture, right, as opposed to kind of grinding away in animation or whatever. We do encourage the use of cell phones for. My background is photography, so I do teach a lot of photography. And, you know, with the freshmen, the first assignment, teaching them composition, use your cell phone for that. We're not going to get into Photoshop with those images, you know, the way we're doing it. And there's some other cool toys to play with too. Okay, so we got this guy in Florida. He's also an Adobe education leader. His name's Rob Schwartz. In my class, we call him Uncle Rob, okay? The kids are like, you know this guy? I'm like, yeah, he's a bigger dork than me. But he was a CTE teacher or still is, in Florida. He was in the classroom, he kind of moved out, and now he's basically running acatestprep.com. Okay, he's also got a companion book for Photoshop and Illustrator. Or maybe the website's the companion to the book. So the idea is that it is pushing them into the certification side of things, okay? So when my community college digital design teacher, we were redoing our articulation, she's like, I'm going to use this book. And I'm like, I know that guy. And she was like, well, that's cool. So we know that in order to articulate our class to COD, not this year, we're still doing it based on portfolio, but potentially next year, since the community college is going to be a test center for Adobe certification, that they're then going to require the Photoshop exam as the means of getting the college credit. So that's the finalization of their class, which means my kids got to prove that as their, you know, in the spring semester, seniors, and you guys know how they are, right? They're like, I stopped working in January 1st, right? So, yeah.
Just in a quick answer, why did you choose ACA test prep versus CERT?
I have to say that off of the microphone, I think. Yeah, yeah. Buy me a beer. I'll be happy to. I'll talk about anything. No, no. I know Rob. I like his style, and he is. This is actually the Certiport is paying him to do this website. So he's actually. There's other choices, but yeah, it's a cool thing, and his attitude is great. The other people who wrote. Or who are doing the video series for the other software pieces are also people that we know and we see annually, and we know exactly, they're more like us, you know, in their classroom. One of the cool things we do with our space too is we bring in the 8th graders for a Create Day. Okay, so I think this is our 4th one. So it's a little short video, you can kind of take a peek. We also, so they can choose 6 workshops led by high school students. They get to come to the school, they get to see where the lunch is served, so it makes that transition to 9th grade a lot. Oh, do we not have sound? A lot smoother.
I didn't plug it in.
Probably gonna blow it. Is that the wrong one?
No, there's this, you got it right, but maybe I have the sound off.
I cannot see.
There
Okay.
you go.
So we have one of the workshops they can do take t-shirt design. So they have a little design contest and then we live print the shirts. And so everybody goes home with a shirt, all the kids, all 93 of them.
I learned
It's
that
like a sweatshop.
it's harder to teach than it sounds, but also when it works, it's a great payoff to see what you teach actually work. I've been able to show new people what it's like to be in the Digital Arts and Technology Academy, which is my favorite part about going to school. So it was really neat to be able to kind of mentor people in what I know. Working with the high schoolers was a great experience because they would help me and then I would figure out how to do it also.
Not sure what that means.
See what data does, especially photography and audio and game design.
So we believe in swag. So, you know, we give them a lot of like stuff that they could wear. So it's neat to kind of drive down the street and go, hey, there's that kid wearing our shirt. Work, right? It's kind of like what it's been about. So focusing student creativity, you know, in my advanced periods, I got 2 of those. There's 3 sections going on in each of those. So animation, photo 2, and digital imaging. But depending on what the kids really want to focus on is what you'll see going on. So I know that I've got a super strong, small design team. Okay, we can also think of it as a big production house. We got video happening next door. We got design, whatever else. They also do things for the, you know, they'll do it for the senior center. We did a logo redesign for them, so they got, you know, $250 for being first place. We always try and look for little tricks like that. Like Ann said, I don't really care about A's and B's and such, and that's you should be getting those. But like, what are we gonna do to make you a little bit more excited about the class, about the projects you're doing, and also pad your resume for college and scholarship applications. You know, we'll do things, you know, like annual shirt. We're starting to play with our laser engraver and starting to do little dog tags and little fun stuff like that. School, theater posters and programs, that kind of stuff, locally. We definitely tap the community partners. At the end, I've got a little survey that I can share with you. But this year, they're like, well, actually last year during our advisory, someone brought up, like, we have photography, you've got video production, you know, well, why not social media as a third form of types of things that you can offer the community or nonprofits in your area. So we started in on social media workshops this year and tied it into our integrated project. We've had illustrators, we've gone off to the print houses and stuff and visited them. If we have a kid that continues on in some type of graphic communications contest at the national level with Skills USA, we send them off to Ace Printing and they go spend the day, and because they have presses that obviously we would never in our world have in our studio, nor would we want to maintain them. Showcasing is really important to us. We like to make sure that students are making things for, you know, other people. I don't really want to be the only person who sees it, and I'm sure their mom sometimes doesn't, dad doesn't even care about what they're doing at school. So what kind of audiences can we find for them? We are, you know, a VAPA CTE program, so we do participate in several different annually occurring fine art shows. Our district has a visual performing arts coordinator. She coordinates a show at UC Riverside. We also tap into our local library. It took us 15 years to figure out that they were a wonderful resource 300 yards away. You know, like, well, who wants to partner with the library? Like, how boring is that? Well, we have this like rock star librarian he's like, hey, I want to do 3D printing workshops. Can your kids come teach and do modeling and stuff? We're like, heck yeah. So now that we have an internship with the library, and it has nothing to do with the card catalog whatsoever, okay? Which is very cool. The graphic design part, right now, we have winter is a great time to be in the Coachella Valley. So we have all these wonderful things going on. So we're strengthening our relationship with the city of Cathedral City. We have kids on the Arts Commission. We have them in the office. We're trying to work them into city council. So they, through our leadership program. So they're designing stuff for, the different events. We connected with the Braille Institute this last year, which was really cool. So we did this, benefit project for or design for one of their benefit shows. I mentioned it in the morning session, but alumni, we wrangle in an alumni once or twice a year. So we've been around long enough to have those, which is very exciting. So this year I found out that one of my kind of slacker kids actually pulled it off on the outside in the real world. And I'm like, you opened up your own comic book shop. That is awesome. You need an intern. What? I do? Yes. Come in. And he's like, okay, I need t-shirts designed too. I'm like, you came to the right place. So we just finished a little t-shirt design contest for interstellar comic books. And he was able to actually share with the students opening a business, right? So we want to incorporate as much entrepreneurial stuff as we can. He also told them that if you guys, how many have been to Palm Springs? You know the main drag, right? It's probably right where you went, right? It's like $4,500 for rent in one of those little tchotchke shops. But you tee right off of Palm Canyon, right? And it drops tremendously. So he was able to talk to the kids about, opening up your own space and all that good stuff. We have this very exciting annual event called Pets on Parade. So they actually came to us and said, can we pay your crew to make ads for this little, people buy ads for their pets for this annual fundraiser. I'm like, yeah. So the kids did a really good job. And then we're going to be working on stuffed pizza coming up here. They have some bands coming out, so they need some stuff done there too. The Ad Fed. Have you checked out the Advertising Federation for your area? Write that down. The Desert Ad Fed is part of the national organization. They offer annual scholarship competition. So students actually have to create a media campaign based on whatever the theme is, and it has to be one print and one electronic. Okay, so most of the kids in my class are not video editors. Most of the kids next door are not print makers or graphic communications people at all. So it really makes them, find dig into their strength, but also get into their uncomfortable zone and have to create an ad campaign, and then you're giving it to be judged to the local professionals who produce outdoor advertising, TV, radio, all the print houses in the Palm Springs, as well as the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So this year, we were lucky. Usually there's not many other schools participating.
I was the first year before they made it very complicated.
When you just wrote the application? Yeah.
That's how I got my 3D computer stuff.
Yeah, so they changed it, So anyway, we were fortunate this year, and they had to create some cool ad campaigns. If you want to see some of the work, you can look at data digital imaging on Behance. Okay, so Behance is another great tool that you can use. It's actually blocked inside my classroom, I think. Yeah. Last time I checked, still, which is stupid. But we can still have, it's just another way to showcase the work on the outside, right? You can go to the iBook store. You can download our iBook if you're an iPad or recent Mac user, current Mac user, and you can get a lot more information on our academy there. Okay, so if you want to flip through some stuff and see a whole bunch of different media and whatnot. Vimeo, we do animation. We have all the video classwork. All of that lives up on Vimeo for the academy. There's one for my side, and there's one for digital storytelling. So that's another great avenue. It's not necessarily, you can make a best of reel for graphic design and stick it up there. That's always a good idea. We get kids out to the California Student Media Festival, usually have a movie or two they get to trek out to Hollywood or wherever they're having it, and see some fun stuff and get an award, get on stage, look at all the weird LA people. Because in the desert, it's like a little island out there. They're like, the road goes past the windmills? What the heck? Skills USA is a big part of our program. So this year, I think about 80 kids qualified to get. A lot of these are team medals too. 80 kids qualified to go to state conference. Thank God not all of them will go. One year we took 100 and we were like, why did we do that? Because there were people like, 4 or 5 adults and 100 teenagers, 3 days. Like,
Ouch.
you might as well go to like county detention or something like that.
Exactly.
So it's fun. They enjoy it. The first time we did it, it was like, we come from the art world and we're like, you want to all put on red jackets and look like a parking attendant or some Mormon parking attendant and then like run around and do this stuff. It was really exciting to see how much it meant to them. We were lucky to get a gold medal in photography the first year, which really probably sparked the fire. And now we've got 2 state officers and 2 regional officers. They are into it. So when they said, once you build it, they'll come, it was true. And when the kids, and then it makes them prepare their resume, they have to act and dress professionally. And then they get exposure to other students. If they make it to nationals, they realize people from Tennessee do talk differently. It's a little bit slower out there. So it's really a good experience. Sometimes there's some disorganization because it's a volunteer group, but you just got to kind of roll with the punches. If you've anybody doing it right now? It's part of the requirement for Perkins.
A CTSO is, not
CTSO.
necessarily skills.
Yes. CTSOs, but we kind of have no choice in our industry. Right. So maybe we'll talk about that at the 4 o'clock session.
Yeah,
right?
maybe we will.
So we do need you guys to chime in on that whole conversation. Some of the examples from Skills USA, it also includes screen printing and t-shirt design and pin design, and there's a lot of leadership contests where they can apply. You can't like go to a regional contest and bring 100 photography kids, because they'll get pissed at you and they're like, you need to never come again, because it's going to take 3 days to get through them all. So we force them to kind of like spread out. We do a little pre-regional, like cutoff game, and so they can still find other ways to use their design skills, to use their video skills in some leadership-based contests, which is pretty cool if you take a look at that. We also, as part of the demonstration day, get the kids to talk about what they do. Very important, very good for leadership. That would have scared the crap out of me as a kid, because I was like the shy one in the back, drawing on the desk or something. But, I understand that the sooner they get through that, the better off they're going to be. And we throw them in the water and they'll choke. And then the next time they'll do better. And it's okay, right? It's okay to have that failure. We all know that now. So I think this is my last thing I wanted to share. Can I scroll in on this? Oh, hey. Guess not. Anyway, we have it's for years it's been called the Coachella Valley Economic Partnership. And they've been helping us with our Arts, Media, Entertainment Advisory Councils, and also collecting people for our mentor program. They recently changed their name. But one of the things we asked them for a couple years ago was a industry survey. Because what I was looking at the time was, okay, we need to show some type of certification. But if you read the ed code for the stuff we see, it's certification or equivalent. Okay? So that when we asked our industry people, how important is certification to you? It's down here, right? It's portfolio work. Within that portfolio is also writing examples. If you get to the interview, it's learning how to interact with other humans on a real level without staring at a telephone or your camera that takes whatever. So we asked them for this survey if they got like 15 people to do it. It wasn't really widespread enough. So I'm like, let's bring that back this year. I did as much work as I could to get the people I knew. We got up to 50 participants. But if you can grab the copy of it, and it's kind of like, it's not really the best infographic. I didn't do it, but positions expected to grow in the next 5 years. Digital design and programming, game arts, graphic design, third, right? Down at the bottom, producer, camera operator, photography is pretty mid. I think we could all probably understand that. Like, for our program, I love photography. I want to be a photographer. Well, y'all ain't gonna be photographers, right? So enjoy it, Well, I love making movies. Well, you're not gonna work in Hollywood. Minimum qualifications, internship / work experience, 54%. Bachelor's degree or higher, 32%. High school GED, 24%. And then they also know about the pathway programs and academies, so that's kind of in there too. I don't know, the text is really little, but you can look at it. But it was a really cool thing, and maybe it can be useful for you guys, encourage you to kind of, get your feelers out there and really try and, find out what type of community can help support what you really want to be trying to do. So I think with that, we kind of end that part of the thing. Are we almost done? Yeah.
Yeah, questions, I think.
Do you have a sample of that survey?
There's the results. It's not my survey, so I don't even know if I have access to the actual document anymore, but the questionnaire. Any other questions?
Do you guys have any questions for us?
Did you guys share your presentation?
Yeah, I'm working with Chris McClung to get a space up on the ca-ameschools.net site where we'll have all the resources from here. You just give us a minute or a week.
PDF it.
Yeah, well, there'll be PDF slides. They won't be PowerPoints because a lot of these things are media rich.
I was just going to ask you, you have a lot of different software out there, and I know a lot of people use the Creative Cloud and Adobe Suite, but you had some other ones that I wasn't familiar with. Do you teach that, or do the kids learn that on their own? Like, so the 4D, the 3D, what would you recommend for motion graphics?
Yeah, I used to teach After Effects and 3D to the college kids, and they cried. It's like it was too hard for the teenagers are a lot more malleable and less concerning over what these buttons do. They just go for it. That's the play part of learning, right? So when I was looking at 3D software, I took Digital Media Academy classes at Stanford. I loved Cinema 4D. It's high end. You can they'll give you a classroom grant. You can just say, I can only afford $500 from my computer lab. And they haven't turned me or the other guy I know who asked down. Maya, you can get it for free, right? Because they gave part of the Connect.
And Blender not too bad either.
And the students, not only the students get it, and it's an educational version.
Yeah.
For the school and the students at home.
Yeah.
Maya's
great.
I would encourage them to. The kids come from the middle school loving Blender. I have to kind of beat Blender out of them, but its interface is improved, and it actually works nice and seamlessly for 3D printing. The STL file that comes out of Blender, to get the STL to work nicely out of Cinema in this weird way, wasn't so nice. Maybe the more recent versions are better. There's Sculptress is the other one here. Sculptress, did I turn my thing off? Yeah, the S, Sculptress, it's like basically you just kind of start with a sphere and you kind of just digitally, it's like a digital piece of clay and you can form it out. It's like the baby brother to ZBrush, same company. So it's their free version. ZBrush is pretty expensive, if anyone's familiar with that. What I really liked, Adobe purchased this company, I forgot the name of it, was a year or so ago, and it's Fuse and Mixamo. Oh, is that Mixamo? No, this is Mixamo, that's Fuse, right? So and it's kind of a weird workflow, But basically, you download the app. You start with a basic, like, humanoid T-pose, and you can tweak every asset, right? And then you upload it to the Mixamo website, and you can apply animations to it, and then you can bring it back down into Unity. And then you've got animated stuff. So, like, you know, animations, I've tried to teach it 100 different ways. Even had, like, you know, full classes doing, you know, a week of acting, you know, like, to start off. Cool, but, like, they're not all good at it, right? So, like, I kind of just, like, if you're really good at, you know, drawing and doing Photoshop type animation, then take that workflow. If you want to really dig into 3D modeling, go for that, you know, or, you know, Animate is another cool tool. I like how that they finally got, you know, Flash to mature into Animate. We talked about XD. A nice starter program for game design is Game Salad. It's pretty simple. It's Flash-based. They can crack open the code if they need to go start tweaking on that stuff.
And then if you really want to, get your kids started on Flash and move them into processing and teach them how to code. Because all these things were coded by other people. So they're using tools that are made through other people's lenses. So, you know, I'm a big proponent right now for having creative coding sitting in the middle of all of our programs somehow, some way. Pure data processing, they're made for creative end products.
Yeah, and we just kind of try and tap the kid who's that direction, because they're going to learn it a lot on.
Right.
If they want to learn it, they're going to figure out a way to learn. You know, go to their own websites and get all the good resources.
So you guys,
Which one did you say is your go-to for printing to your 3D printer?
Blender.
Blender isn't. Yeah, Blender is not up there. It tended to be easier. Yeah.
Mine is very easy too. Those tail files can
Do they?
go. We
Got
can
mine.
print them in class. So,
Oh, good.
yeah. It's pretty
No
simple.
way. So you guys can get a hold of us whenever you want. And I really appreciate you coming here. Ask questions. Come to our demo days. We like to see people where we live. So thank you very much for
Yeah.
coming.
Thank you.